We're the Idaho Wine Commission. And first of all, thank you guys so much for being or letting me be here. It's so fun to like be able to talk to you guys and to be with my friends too. Like Tressa and Ron and I were in a Vistage leadership group, and it's great to see how we all work together. So hopefully I won't talk too much for you, but first of all, who am I? Well, I'm the executive director of the Idaho Grape Growers and Wine Producers Commission. We're a state agency. And I kind of like to start a little bit with this, kind of defining like, who am I and kind of like, why am I here? I'm from Seattle. That's where I grew up. I worked for the Washington Wine Commission for 5 years. And then I got recruited to come here. I'm a wife. My husband's a wastewater engineer for the city of Meridian. And then I'm a mom to 2 boys that are 6 and 7. They're crazy and awesome at the same time. They go to St. Joe's right downtown in Boise, and it's wonderful. We love it. I love adventure and having fun, and I'm always up for, the next best thing. And then I really believe in community, and that's one of the big things of why I'm here. And all of this ties in, I think, to who we are as a wine commission and our brand, because the wine industry is about the people, and we are walking, talking billboards, and not just me, the staff, the entire wine industry. So I always say, Idaho wine is, you guys probably have heard me say this, Idaho wine is all about your friends, your family, and your dog. So here's a picture of my cute little family last year after Tressa was trying to talk me into how much they love their trailer. We got a truck and a trailer, and I never thought that would be the day, but we are having so much fun, and we got ourselves the little baby Airstream, a used one, and we bought it sight unseen, and then are having adventures with our best friends, and then our dog. We love our dogs. So this, and dogs are a big thing in the wine industry and agriculture. This dog's name is Shatsy. And it's just ironic because my maiden name is Schatz. So this kind of like gives you a little bit of perspective, and you kind of see like, who am I a little bit, right? All right. So what do we do at the Wine Commission? Because people ask that all the time. Well, our big name is the Idaho Grape Growers and Wine Producers Commission. And I worked with Ron, gosh, probably 10, 12 years ago. And he's like, that's a mouthful. I'm like, it is a mouthful. So now we call ourselves the Idaho Wine Commission. And so we are the united voice to promote and champion all Idaho's grape growers and winemakers. And then we have to have values, right? So I always say for my family, the most important things, and I make the boys say this like every day when they go to school, the most important things in our family are to be nice, kind, respectful, and clear. I added clear a couple years ago because if they don't understand me, they can't understand the instructions I'm telling them to stop picking their nose. So I have to be very clear. So we did the same thing for work. We had our values of inclusive, kind, clear, and respectful. And then, of course, you have to have a vision statement. Where are we going? To sustain a growing wine industry respected for its committed growers and producers, passionate consumers, and distinct wines, because we want to be different than anybody else in the country or the world. All right, so we kept asking, like, why Idaho? Why would you come here? Why should you visit? Why should you drink Idaho wine? And then I'm like, gosh, is this not very clear? Apparently, I'm not being very clear and haven't convinced people why they need to drink Idaho wine. So I'm like, team, we need to come up with a video. And I just love this video. So it'll give you an idea, and hopefully you can hear it. We'll find out. And if you can't hear it, we'll send it to you later. I can't hear it. No. I see the subtitles though. I see the subtitles. So basically, this video is talking all about the culture and why we should convince you to see. Ron, you're not the only one having IT issues. It's okay. I'm sorry you guys can't see this or hear it because it's so good. And just talking about the history too of why we got started. Actually, you can just press stop and I'll go on to kind of explain more about it. I just think videos are such a big, important feature in how we tell our story, because it really resonates with people and can convey that message, because it's all about our growers too. You can't have a wine industry without grapes. And so it all is back to the grapes. So then this is good thing I left this slide in, because it tells a little bit about the history of the Idaho wine industry. And and kind of it leads back to our culture too. So the wine industry was started in North Idaho in the 1860s, and that's where it really started to get going. Wineries were winning awards. So Lewiston area. And then, do you guys know what happened in 1919? Prohibition. Duh, duh, duh. It killed the wine industry. And it really killed it in Idaho. And it took a long, long time for things to start getting going again. So it wasn't until the 1970s that grapes started to get planted again in Idaho. And then the commission was formed in 1984. And then we got our first AVA, which I'll talk a little bit more about, which is an American viticulture area. And that was approved in 2007. So that was such a long time. And I think it's a long time for it to like really start to get going again. Ashley, can you do the next slide? Maybe. So this just kind of sees you a little bit about the growth. I got here in 2008, and not to say that like, oh, we had all this growth just because I'm excited about life. Well, yeah, I'm excited about life, you guys. I just get other people excited and get energized, and I'm just the organizer. I mean, it probably would have happened even without me. I'm just loud, and I know who to talk to help spread the mission and the message. So in 2002, we had 11 wineries, and then 2010, 43, 13, 50, and today we have over 69 wineries with 3 American viticulture areas. We're still hovering around 1,300 acres planted, and this is a really interesting thing that's changed over time and also with branding. So we only have 1,300 acres planted, which is not enough to sustain the Idaho wine industry. And we'll see that start to grow, not as fast as I would like, because if you plant a grapevine today, it's going to take 3 to 5 years for that grape to mature and be ready to harvest. So it's a lot of cash outlay. And so what's happening now though is wineries and consumers are asking, for example, when they go to Tawaya Winery, oh, is this an Idaho wine or is this a Washington wine? Because on the bottle, people are now asking for Idaho fruit, which is amazing and wonderful. And Ron probably remembers me complaining about this. Like I wanted people using Idaho fruit because we're Idaho wineries and I want Idaho fruit. And I understand supply and demand. So what's happening now is growers are now able to charge more for their grapes, thus plant more grapes. So it's a win-win for everybody, supply and demand. It's awesome. So we're all about goals, right? I set these lofty goals. And then the board comes in and kind of brings me back to earth. So the board set a goal of having 2,000 acres, 100 wineries, and 15% market share by 2029. Well, I said, how about by 2027 that we should have 10,000 acres, 1 million cases a year, and 100 wineries. I don't really care about market share as much because until we get more wineries and more grapes in the ground, that's going to be, we're already at 15%. It's going to be a hard thing to change. It just sounds good. So yeah, I got vetoed on my goals, but hey, it's okay. I should be able to hit this. Then I love, love, love economic impacts because for such a relatively small industry, we have a pretty large economic impact. So in 2008, we had a $73 million economic hit. And that means like people traveling here to visit wineries, buying food. In 2013, it was almost 170 million. And so then in 2017, it was 210 million. So that's pretty impactful. And we use these numbers a lot when we go to the legislature and say, this is why you need to support us. Or when we apply for grants, like it's a great measure to see if we're being successful with our branding and what we're doing. And this is like if people get geeky on facts and really want to know, like sometimes people love it. How many tons harvested and how many cases did you produce? It really kind of varies from year to year. And this is why, gosh, you guys, sometimes it makes it pretty nervous on how anybody has a winery or a vineyard because there's so much variability with weather. So this past year we had 160,000 cases, but typically in an average year we have 225,000 cases, and a case is 12 bottles of wine. And it's so, like I said, dependent on weather. Remember when we had that snowmageddon? Oh my goodness, that like was horrible for the grapes. Luckily, a lot of them didn't die, but they basically how they do is they cut it off. Like here's your grapevine. They cut it off right here and then it has to retrain up the next year. So you lose a season of grapes. And so we have to get them from Washington if they're available, or some wineries just didn't harvest, and so they have a lighter year. And so these are another reason of why. Why is Idaho so great? And these are the messages that we try to get across is we have great volcanic soil. We get a lot of sun and water. We're high elevation, and people aren't you the Great White North? So I have to a lot of times break down a lot of barriers. Like, doesn't it snow all the time in Idaho? Or you really can grow grapes? Yes. And anybody who knows anything about wine knows that grapes are grown in every state. It's just something that grape wine's made in every state. We have 4 distinct seasons. And what's also really good about how Idaho is we get cold typically gradually in the winter. So the vines go dormant, so they go to sleep, and then it usually gets warmer gradually. And all of that is perfect for growing grapes. I think what we're going to see is a lot of people, and we're already seeing it, a lot of people are going to be coming up from California where it's too hot and planting grapes in Idaho because we have a pretty amazing climate. So I get geeked out on AVAs. Wine people love wanting to know about American Viticulture Area. So it's a federally designated grape growing region that's different than anywhere else in the country. It says, this is why you're so cool. And so the first one was in 2008. This is the Snake River Valley AVA. And this we're in it right now, you guys. In Boise, if you're in Boise, we're sitting in the Snake River Valley AVA. It's Ancient Lake, Idaho is the boundary. And it's 8,000 square miles, which is huge. My mom asked me, like, 8,000 acres when I first got here? I'm like, no, Mom, square miles. Like, it's really hard for me to visualize that. So almost to Twin Falls to Ontario. And we have around 1,100 acres planted in 47 or 46 wineries in this area. And that's where the majority of the grapes are planted in Idaho. I mean, honestly, you guys, we don't even know where the best grapes can be grown yet. And that's what makes it so exciting and why we keep doing it. All right. So then we have a sub-AVA, and what that means is an AVA within another AVA, and that's the Eagle Foothills AVA, which is 80 acres planted and has 3 wineries. So not as many, but it's super close to us. We can go there after this if you wanted. And then we have the Lewis-Clark Valley AVA, so northern Idaho, and that has 80 acres planted and 11 wineries. So what do we do for branding? We do a lot of different things. I like to say that I'm a walking, talking billboard. We do our big wine event every year when it's not COVID. At Savor Idaho, it's out of the botanical gardens, but we can't do that this year. So what we did instead is we're creating a passport program. So how that works is if you were typically to go to Savor Idaho, you go up to a winery and you would taste 3 wines and they give you little samples. Well, we're now pushing people to the wineries instead. And so you'll go to the winery, you'll taste your Savor Idaho to go 3 samples, they'll stamp it. Or if you don't want to go to the winery, you can buy those 3 wines and take home. And then what's super cool is that there's all these different prizes that you get for, if you go to 3 wineries, you get X thing. If you go to 10 wineries, you get entered into for this drawing. If you go to 15, you get entered in for a drawing to stay at Sawtooth. They're getting these glamping tents, which is like yurts, but they're called glamping tents because it's a different structure. But just kind of fun things to get people excited. We do a lot of media tours and bring people in. So we just did a virtual media tour, which was awesome. But we go to New York and San Francisco to the markets and I really try to make people my friend. And then they come out and visit. And it's amazing the coverage that we've got. The next slide shows just some of the coverage that we've got in the past year alone, which is pretty impressive. We work with a PR and marketing agency to help us, and it has definitely been impactful. All right. And then education is huge. We're always like, right now, I feel like it's part of my mission. I'm educating, right? But we do that for the vineyards and the wineries. We do industry seminars, boot camps, which you should all come on one of our boot camps. And what that is, it's like wine buyers, really anybody in the community can come and then talk about, we want to share the message. So we go out to wine country, or we're going to do an urban one as well. I know some of the people on this have been on it, and it's fun. And the Idaho wine competitions where we bring in judges to score the wines, and people love it, and it's just really good exposure. And the next one is legislation. There's definitely this job is a lot more legislation, so it's educating our senators and representatives. And so we're dealing now with land use, or what can a winery do or not do with all this growth and so many people moving in? We're finding out how many events can a winery. It's just these questions that we've never asked before, and trying to solve them in a constructive manner. So we're always educating, always promoting, always talking. I feel like that's all that I do. But I love it, you guys. I feel so fortunate to be able to be in this industry because it's fun. You aren't in the wine industry because you have to. It's a choice because you want to. We're not going to get rich. I mean, maybe if I own a winery and sold out one day, I could get rich. But I'm a state employee and I really like what I do. I think we have one more slide, possibly. So what's next? Creating new restaurant campaigns, our passport program, and our legislation. So it's always something. And then trying to find labor. I mean, that's a big thing. It's like these wineries, so many people are wanting to go out now and see wineries because they're feeling better about life. And it's just trying to find enough staffing. It's a big problem. So what can you do to support the Idaho wine industry? One, participate in events, buy Idaho wine, and then when you go to a restaurant, ask for Idaho wine. Even if you don't drink, ask for Idaho wine. And because what that is, it's a demand thing. And if they don't have Idaho wine on the list, ask for a Diet Coke because restaurants make so much more money when you buy, the margins are higher when you get a glass of wine or a bottle of wine than on their Diet Coke. And my goal is for every restaurant in the state of Idaho to have at least one Idaho wine. And kind of one of my beefs is like the restaurants want us to come to their local restaurants, right? So they should be then having local products for us to purchase as well. I mean, I try not to dig too hard on it, but it really does kind of irk me. So we're going to show this great video that Ron created for us a couple years ago. It's a spoof on potatoes, but we'll email it out to you guys afterwards. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk today.